Bar's serial rapist Malcolm Rewa goes on trial for the murder of Susan Burdett for a third time. Kia ora, good evening. Thousands of evacuated residents are tonight heading home 7 days after the big wildfire near Nelson started. About 1,000 houses were evacuated, forcing an estimated 3,000 people from their homes, mostly in Wakefield. Just in the past hour, they've been allowed to return, but with a warning they must be fully prepared to leave if the conditions change. Police and army will remain in the area as a precaution, while firefighters say the outlook is positive. John Campbell is on the ground in the Nelson Tasman region. He joins us now live. John.
Thanks, Wendy. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to Brightwater. This is the command centre here. Air Force personnel having their dinner behind us. We'll have a bit more on that later, but as Wendy says, it has been a good day, the best day since the fires broke out last Tuesday, and there is a growing sense of confidence that the fires are under control. They aren't out. 2,500 perimeters. Fire is still burning. It is hot, it is dry, and it is a little bit windy, so it's not over yet. But things are feeling much, much better than they were. Let's begin with our Nelson-based reporter, Caitlin Ruddock.
After 3 anxious nights away, relief for Wakefield residents this afternoon.
Oh, yes, so good to be home.
Good feeling. Yeah, been a big few days though, but it's good to be back.
My wife's right behind me in her wagon, and yeah, it's just a lovely feeling to be home.
The fire that sent them packing, not yet contained, but firefighters confident.
Our guys have done some great work in reinforcing the lines around the fire, and we are comfortable at the moment that it's safe for the community to go back.
Caution remains though, and more evacuations are possible, and it's still too dangerous for those living in the valleys to return home.
The valleys have been affected by fire, so the preparation for residents' return is more complex.
Today, crews closing in on containment. One News showing their defensive lines from the air.
This is a secondary control line, so the top one is up on top of the ridge. So this is to protect the town of Wakefield. And then the one down here was if the fire broke through, as it creeps down onto the flats, we can stop it there.
But even when it is finally contained, the work will go on.
We're going to be months mopping this up, going round, because it's so dry at the moment.
So we're actually just on our way to Cable Bay now. We've been diverted because smoke has been spotted over this area north of Nelson, and it's important that fire crews act immediately with such dry conditions in this region.
It looks like the high pressure is dominating, and unfortunately it looks like significant rain may at least be 2 weeks away. Maybe we're talking into the last week or so of February to get anything we can shake a stick at.
Drones being used to take out the guesswork when choosing what hotspots to hit hardest.
And the ground crews go in during the day, find them and work on them. And so we've got to do that repeatedly because you don't get everything all the time. And the different various weather.
Today winning the battle, but
there's still a lot of smoke, there's still a lot of areas inside the outside perimeter that are available to burn and probably will burn.
It'll require a community's vigilance to win the war.
Let's bring Caitlin Ruddock in now live from the Wakefield Town Centre. Caitlin, this has been a great afternoon for Wakefield residents, but it's all unfolding as we speak. What else are they being told?
That's right. We did watch as those smiles had to creep out and the hugging and the waving as they slowly made their way in. We watched at 4 p.m. as that road closure sign was taken off the tarmac and people have begun making their way in. And so, yes, State Highway 6 is open to all motorists, but police are asking those that don't have an essential reason to be here to stay away. It's a similar story for the residential areas. Those are open to those who live here up until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, which it will then open up from there. We've also noticed that police and army personnel have a noticeable presence here walking around, and they've said that their staff are prepared. They will be asking people on the street whether they do have a reason to be here and why they are here, just to make sure of that. But look, I don't think that anyone here in Wakefield is under any illusion. Although spirits have lifted, there is still a fire burning, and it is still time to stay alert.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Caitlin. 2,500 people evacuated at the peak of the blaze, and they were just making do here. Quite remarkably, children from Wakefield coming into a temporary school in a church nearby where we're standing here. Lots and lots of community support. The Defence Force in en masse from Burnham. People making life go on. Kim Baker-Wilson with a report on a community coping.
Feeding the firefight has been a military operation. The New Zealand Army cooking up hundreds of meals a day for volunteers and evacuees.
That's a lot of food, yeah. So we've got some great caterers here doing a lot of good work, working hard and making sure that everyone that's helping out with these fires is getting fed.
A generous local cafe owner also keen to do their bit. Pizzas carefully made on top of the usual workload and heading to a local marae.
For me, there's no option. There's people out there and they need help, and we can help, so we have to help. That's always been for me. If you can, you must.
For those forced out of their homes, there's been a promise of continued help.
Well, we're part of the community, and after all this has completed, we're still going to be here, and we're still going to be part of the community. So that's a part of our responsibility. It has been the mana whenua and kaitiaki is to look after all of our community.
The town's sole pharmacy, also among those forced to relocate, triggering a massive operation to track down those needing medication who've had to shift out too.
Yeah, anyone we know is desperate for medication, we have phoned to make arrangements for.
Okay, just 1 minute, please.
So we've done all we can, but it is difficult when we don't know where people are.
This morning it was back to school, but not on school grounds. Wakefield school students finding a new home for the time being, with the church opening its doors.
It is an emotional roller coaster, and you can't always anticipate how you're going to feel tomorrow or even in 5 minutes' time. And what we're trying to do here today is create an environment where you can be wherever you need to be in your emotions.
For these children, it's been a welcome return to routine, as everyone in Wakefield now looks forward to getting back home and getting back to normality. Kim Baker-Wilson, One News.
Thanks, Kim. Yes, it's been a very good day here. I think possibly better than people had imagined until well into the afternoon. Good work is happening. We will look at that later in the program, but we just want to stress some things if you are here. Be ready to evacuate. Those of you who have gone home, please be on standby to evacuate in case the fire returns. Now, you will be notified in one of two ways, either sirens or texts. You might not get both. If you get one, get out. Wakefield residents only. I know it's fascinating, and boy, having been up there today, it is an extraordinary area of land that has been burned, but please don't go in for a look yet. In case of evacuations, in case they are required, only people who live or work in Wakefield are allowed back tonight. The community meeting is still planned for the Hope Church not far from us here at 7:30 tonight, and that is a good place to ask any questions about what is happening. Free healthcare is available for those people who've been affected by anything in any way during the evacuations or during the fire. And if you see anything you are concerned about, please do not think this is over. Take your concerns seriously and call 111. Now, this afternoon we went back up the hill and joined the firefighters on the front line. They're doing extraordinary work, clearing fire breaks, getting rid of material and fuel that may burn, keeping the fire contained. And so we'll have that report later in the program, but now that's it from Nelson. Back to Wendy in the studio.
Thanks, John. To other news, one of the most controversial cases in a generation, which saw a man wrongly languish in prison for more than 2 decades.